Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this channel. Thank you so much for joining me this morning for this very brief tutorial. You know, I don't consider myself an expert on anything except for how to open up doors for other people to learn something. So that's my expertise, and that's why I'm here today. And I will always preface all of my tutorials by telling you that I am not an expert in this field, okay? But like I said, I'm an expert in opening the door, showing you the way to explore it and learn more about it. So here we are today. And when you pop on, please do say hello to me so I can give you a shout out. And yeah, if you know of anybody who may be interested in learning more about prayer beads, how to work with them, how to create their own, please share this video with them either now or later on after it's been posted to the channel. Hi, Alicia. Thank you so much for coming back here to talk about prayer beads with me. It's something that I'm quite passionate about because I have seen how this practice has improved my life. It just has made it so much better. And I want to talk about all of that. So we will get to it sooner or later, but in the meantime, let's also talk about some of the history and styles and all that good stuff. So I'm messing around with my prayer beads that I just made. This is dedicated to the green Tara, which is an energy that I'm working with for 2020. I pray the green Tara mantra every morning. And I wanted to make her own special set of beads. So that's what this is all about. And I will get to that later. But let's just kind of launch right into the history of it. And you will see me looking down quite a bit during this presentation because I made 3 pages of notes. I didn't want to forget anything because this is really an important practice, okay? And if you adopted this practice, I think it will help you if you struggle with meditation and if you just struggle with calming the monkey brain. You know, it just is a way of kind of bringing it into a stiller, S-T-I-L-L-E-R, is that a word? Stiller, a more still, more silent, a more calming kind of experience. So anyway, let's talk about the word bead, as in prayer bead. And here's the really interesting thing. This is a old English word, okay? And it's derived, B-E-A-D, is actually derived from that old English word, B-E-D-E, is pronounced the same way, bead, okay? And the absolute literal translation of bead, B-E-D-E, is prayer. That's what that word means, okay? It means prayer. So it's very interesting that we then made prayer beads from that, okay? So anyway, St. Paul of Thebes, way back in the year 227 AD, he used pebbles and string to count his prayers. So this practice of using prayer beads goes at least that far back, okay, where he was using pebbles and strings way back, you know, in the 227 AD. That's how far back it goes. Now, why do you think it was important, even way back then, for him to start counting his prayers? Why do you think that that's an important practice? I want you to think about that. Why is it important to count our prayers? Well, I'll tell you. One of the reasons why it's important for us to count our prayers is because there is power in numerology. Numbers have significance, okay? Numbers are magical. Math is magic. It's one of those concepts that our brain has gotten a little divided on, you know, left brain versus right brain thinking, when really they're the same thing. Numbers mean something. They have power. okay? If you only have to pick up the most rudimentary book on numerology, and they will have it outlined for you in the first couple of paragraphs on the magic of numbers, okay? And using numbers as a vibrational signature for all of your spiritual and metaphysical works. Excuse me. When you infuse your prayers with a specific vibration number, so to speak, you empower them even more, okay? And the same could be said for using specific gemstones, and we'll talk about that later on. So, the number of beads varies by religion or spiritual practice or spiritual tradition, okay? There are many cultures that have their own kind of prayer beads, and we'll talk about a few of those. But one of the more important things I want you to take away from this is that you can create your own prayer beads based on your specific number signature that you want to work with, gemstones that you want to work with, affirmations or prayers you want to work with. You can make your own, okay? You don't have to use a specific style from another culture. On that note, I want to assure you that using prayer beads is not akin to cultural appropriation, all right? Now, this is really important because I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I'm stealing from another culture or this, that, and the other. No, spiritual practices may be based in a specific culture, but it does not mean that it is only for that culture or is a cultural appropriation to use it, all right? Now, I am multi-ethnic, multiracial, and when I started my own deep spiritual journey over 35 years ago now, I went and investigated and researched and learned all the spiritual traditions of all of my ancestors, okay? I don't feel like I culturally appropriated from the native first peoples, from the African tribes that I studied, from any other, from the Spanish Romani people. I learned all of their traditions, but I don't feel like I culturally appropriated because you don't see me wearing a bindi. You don't see me trying to, lead a sweat lodge. I participated, but I would never dare try to lead a sweat lodge or anything like that. So even the Dalai Lama says that everybody can pray the mala. Everybody can pray the mala, okay? And that's how it should be with all spiritual traditions. If you approach it in reverence, appreciation, and respect, and you know that you're doing it from a place in your heart, then you don't have to worry about culturally appropriating anything. I want you to feel free to develop and create your own spiritual practice. And if you are taking bits and pieces from other spiritual practices, I think that that is perfectly fine. It's how you approach it, okay? Just be clear about that. Let's talk about some styles. My very first prayer beads, I grew up Catholic, bless my parents' heart. They saw the little pagan in me and got me somewhere where I can be around candles and incense and got me involved in the Catholic Church. And so they have a rosary. I do not have a rosary to show you right now, but that was my first experience with prayer beads, and I loved it. I loved that rosary. I loved praying that rosary. I just felt right to me, okay? So that was my first. My second was a goddess rosary, and I do still have that. It's this, and you can see that it does have a specific pattern to it. These balls right here, these garnet balls, they are for the new moon, and then this is maiden energy, and then these are the rest of the days of the month, and then you're back to the new moon, maiden energy, and then some more days. And there's 13 sections of those. And then also, not 13, 28. And then I also have a little moonstone pendant that I put on it. So that's my goddess rosary. And then this is the mala that we were talking about earlier. Malas typically have 108 beads. Japa malas also include a period within the strand that you can stop and pause and think about your intention that you're praying on. So that's what these beads are all about here. And they also always have what they call a Buddha bead, something that represents the sacred or the divine. Some of them have tassels, some of them don't. Some are very elaborate and expensive, and some of them are very plain and simple. It doesn't really matter. You know, it's all in that person's aesthetics, but typically they all have 108 beads. And again, that has to do with the power of the number. And when the beads get even smaller, they're always going to be in increments of 9. So 9, 18, 27, on up, okay? Increments of 9. And I didn't bring one to show you, but this is especially important when you go to make a bracelet mala, okay? Something that you can wear on your wrist and pray throughout the day. That's the purpose of those. We're gonna make one today, okay? So you can take this information and make your own. And I wanna just, let's see, I don't have one close by, but I'm gonna tell you, when you go to make your malas, you're gonna want to have what they call a bead tray. It's a design tool that helps you to figure out the design in the length or the number of beads that you want to work with, and work with the style and make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing before you actually start stringing it, okay? Because you don't want to keep stringing your mala and taking it apart and stringing it and taking it. That will just generate frustration, and that's something that you do not want to put into your mala or any prayer beads. So back to your styles. The Islamic prayer beads, they're called a misbah or a tasbih, usually have 100 beads. It's 99 plus 1, or a 30 or a string of 33 that they pray 3 times with an extra bead. All right. Now, I'm not very familiar about that particular spiritual practice, but I didn't even know that the Islamic spiritual traditions have prayer beads, but of course they do. So there's that. Buddhists and Hindus use the japa mala, which we talked about. Let's see. And the Sikh mala also has 108 beads. And the Catholic Rosary has 59 beads on it. So they're all kind of different and all over the place. The Eastern Orthodox Christians use a knotted prayer rope, and they have 100 knots on theirs. And then the Anglo-Catholic Church back in the 80s, they came up with a rosary that has 33 beads. Now notice that there's 3 is also a very prominent number. 3, 9, all divisions of that. So there is some thought to be given to the power of those numbers. 9 is my personal favorite number, so that's the one that I use a lot. Does anybody have any questions about the history or style or why people pray with prayer beads? Let's talk about that just a little bit longer before we go into how to make them. When you pray, I'm just going to stick with them all, but this would be true for any prayer beads. There's always a start and a finish. Always a start and a finish, okay? It doesn't matter. You can flip this over and now that's the start and the other side is the finish. It doesn't matter, but you always go along the beads and to the end. And if it is, say, like if a shorter version is not 108 beads, but it's 27 beads, you may pray it all the way around and then reverse and go all the way around and reverse and go all the way around that way. What you don't want to do is to continue to go in a loop like this, because every time you do, you'll be crossing the Buddha bead. You'll be crossing the Buddha bead, okay? and you don't want to do that. So you always want to have a start and go around and then come back around again. Reverse yourself and go back around. So when you start at the beginning and you pray your prayer, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, you're literally not only counting the prayer as you say it, it's so that you don't have to count it. Your fingers are automatically moving around the mala so that you don't have to consciously count. Now, what number am I? Was that 39 or 38? You don't have to think about that and interrupt your prayer flow. You can just let it go and let the mala do the work for you. Now, not only are you counting the prayers or making sure that you do all 108 or 33 or 800 or whatever your tradition is leading you to do, you're also touching and imbuing the mala with the prayer, making this a sacred item. Making this a sacred item, okay? It now becomes a tool of transformation. And every time you pray with it, you are empowering it even more, all right? That's why gemstone selection can be quite important. For this japa mala that I made for Tara, I made my Buddha bead jade. The other green bead here and in other areas on the japa mala, like here, that's ocean jasper. And the ocean jasper is flanked by green fluorite. You really can't tell that it's different from this quartz, but it's really kind of a pale green fluorite that flanks the ocean jasper. And then, of course, because she's all about heart energy, I use the green tassel as well, just as a little embellishment for her. So when I pray this mala, I would start at the beginning, which would be this ocean jasper right here, and I would pray all the way around and then come back around. And that's 108 prayers that I would pray on this every single solitary day. Empowering that, empowering my prayers. Another benefit for using prayer beads is that it gives the ego something to do, okay? It's like a fidget spinner. It's like tapping a pen against a desk or fidgeting with coins in your pocket or twinkling your fingers into a dish of polished stones, or the very many ways that we give our hands something to do so that our minds can go deeper. That is another benefit of using prayer beads, okay? And one of my favorite benefits, because it really helps you to stay focused. When you're praying and you're touching a bead, you are in tuned and focused on that bead. You move to the next one. Now your fingers are touching that as you're saying your prayers. And you move on to the next one. You are just literally focused on the words that you're saying as you move down the mala. You're saying those words. You're staying focused, present to the moment. Onward and onward and onward is a prayer journey, okay? But it's one that you can't lose track of. It's one that you are totally connected to, and you don't lose track. It's not like meditation where your mind can wander. Your mind doesn't wander from a mala because you're fully connected and in tune to it on all levels, physical, spiritual, all levels. So that is another reason why I pray the mala. I pray the mala for that reason. Or my goddess rosary. Or my goddess rosary. Same principle. All right, so is there any questions? Isn't that the truth, Alicia? Isn't that the truth? Then you're like, oh, wait, I get it. I get it. I understand now why we lit so many candles, why we burn so many incense, why we pray the rosary. Exactly. And so now that you understand that, how exciting would it be for you to make your own prayer beads, your own set of prayer beads? I came up with a design of my own as I was putting this class together. I was like, wait a second. I have something very simple and easy that people can do with just a little embroidery floss and 5 crystals. We can do this. So I'm going to talk about that later. But you can do your prayer beads any way you want. Oh, awesome, Alicia. That is so cool. I don't know if YouTube allows you to post pictures, but anyway, if you can figure out a way of showing it to us, and if you're comfortable with that, I'd sure like to see them. Or you could put it on our group page or something. So we're going to launch right into how to make these prayer beads, okay? Now, when you sit down to make your prayer beads, you have got to be in the right head and the heart space. You cannot be freaked out about something. You can't be worried about your intention. You can't be doing it from a place of fear or frustration. This is a meditative process where your intention has got to be clear. You have got to be coming from your heart space because you are putting energy into your prayer beads. How silly would it be to put something negative into them, okay? So I was not going to make a whole mala during this live feed because I want to be in a meditative state. I want to do it in sacred space, and that's not conducive for online training. So I'm not making a mala. I'm just going to demo it, okay? So the first thing I want to advise you, and I'm going to put some links at the end of this video, and I post it to YouTube. I will have some links for you on where to get some of these materials because they're very helpful. One of the things you're going to want is a pre-strung spool of silk cord. It comes with this little thin wire here that acts as a needle. See how thin it is? And it's already pre-threaded onto the silk cord. The silk cord comes in many, many colors. I chose white for Tara because that's one of her colors. And I wanted it to be the foundation for the work that I was doing with that mala. So when you have all of your beads strung, we're going to pretend that this entire length here is a strand of beads. Okay, now this is going to be a little tricky. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can work this out for you. I'm going to put this down here like so. I'm going to flip the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. And but I won't be able to see your questions, but I will when I flip the camera back up. Okay, so hang on. That would be great, Alicia. Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to see it. So hang on a second, you guys. Let's see how well this works. Ooh, we're going to go. Can you see it? Hang on a minute. Oh, it still isn't going to work very well. Okay, never mind. I practiced this the other day, but I don't think that's going to work. Anywho, back to my demo. So you have your mala made. We're going to pretend that this is a completed mala, and I'm going to teach you how to finish it, okay? So this is going to act as our Buddha bead. Looking for the hole. Here we go. Sorry, I'm humming to this music that I'm playing in the background. This is just a little embellishment that we're going to put on next. Hang on, because that little bead has got some kind of a thing in it that I have to work this wire around. Go on in there, bead. Okay, hang on, it's trying to curl up inside the bead. Of course, practice, always goes without a hitch, but when you're live, anything's bound to happen. Okay, got it in there. And typically, I would take this fringe off of this hoop here because it's just unwieldy and it doesn't appeal to me. And there is a little thing that I can put this silk cord through, and it would be perfect. However, if I did that, I would be committing this little tassel to this pretend mala, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to save the tassel for something else. So we're just going to add the tassel for right now. And then when you have everything all strung, what you're going to want to do, oops, hang on, is you want, after you get that fringe on there, you want to go back up through that other little bead. And now you're just going to go backwards to get everything anchored down. So hang on a second, because again, this little bead has got some kind of inner workings that makes it hard to, I'm not sure why. It wants to always make my needle bend. Hang on a minute. Work with my bead. And that's another thing that, you know, don't allow yourself to get frustrated or worked up or out of sorts while you're making your mala. Maybe if I put it down, I wasn't trying to hold it up so high. Okay, got it through. Okay, got it through that bead right there. I'm going to put it through our Buddha bead. And hang on. Need to make sure that there's enough of this silk cord pulled up, because we're now going to join this clear bead right here. We are going to go through this. You know you're old when you're beading. It's just becomes such a little puzzlement. You're like, where is that hole? So you've got it through that first bead, and now you're going to join it to this one. And now your mala is closed. Now you have a closed mala. Everything is connected. And now you're just going to start knotting. And this one is super simple. You want to make a knot here and then string it through this bead. Oops, this bead. Make another knot, string it through this bead, and make another knot. I make 3 knots. And then I go backwards to the other one and make yet another knot. I make sure that this is super secure. And then I take my handy dandy Y.E.S Hypo Cement. This is jewelry quality gel glue. And I then put a speck of glue on every one of those knots. And then it's all completed. And there's your mala. I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to take this apart. But that is pretty much how easy it is to string it. You string on all your 108 beads. You string on your Buddha bead, any embellishments, your fringe, and then you just go backwards. And you go back up through the embellishments, the Buddha bead, the very first bead of the 108, and then you go and join it to the last one. You just make it a loop. You tie a knot, go through one bead, tie a knot, go through the next bead, tie a knot until you have at least 3 knots there, and then you come backwards and tie another knot. So yeah, don't forget to glue it all down. We're going to do something similar on the bracelet one. Now this one is using stretchy cord. See how it kind of stretches? This is that elastic stretchy cord. This labradorite is going to be my Buddha bead. The other beads are 18 There's 18 in total. And then I have the 3 japa malas, or japa beads as well. So for this one, what I did was I just twisted up some paper and I anchored my elastic cord to it so that it just makes it easier to work with, y'all. And now I'm going to join this. So hang on a second, I need a needle. I will have a link for these needles as well, because these are going to make your life so much easier when doing beadwork. They have a very large eye in them. And the way you access this eye is you take your thumbnail and you run it down the center and see how it splits open. See how it splits open? That's how big the eye of the needle is. But look how teeny, teeny, tiny, skinny. Like I have hair that's thicker than this needle. So we are going to open this up again. Oopsies, I dropped it. Just a moment. Hang on, you guys. Okay, so I'll open it up again. I'm gonna get my elastic cord and I'm gonna stick it in this big eye of this needle. So here's our bracelet. And now I'm going to join these 2 ends by bringing this needle through this labradorite. See how easy it went through? And boom. Now you have a completed bracelet. And now you just have to knot it off. And so I would put a knot here and take it through this next one and put a knot there, and this one and put a knot there. And then I would just knot this one. I could take this off and string this end of the cord onto my needle and do the same thing. But the main thing is making sure that those knots are pulled very, very tight and backing it up with your Y.E.S hypo cement. And then your knots will be all secure and you will have your own mala bracelet. Now, a lot of people will put fringes on bracelets, and I am not of that fan club. I am not. That fringe will brush against things and just get filthy. Just get filthy. And who wants that? Use just the most simplest basic that you can. Otherwise, you're going to have to take your bracelet off every time you cook, every time you go to wash your hands, anything like that. And it's just not a feasible situation. It doesn't do any good to create a spiritual tool if it's so pretty you can't even use it, or if it gets in your way and you can't use it. Okay, make it practical as well. So that's how you make the mala. That's how you make the mala bracelet. We're moving on to the five, Lord, I've forgotten the name of it, 5 bead knot. So what this 5 bead knot prayer bead is all about is acknowledging the 5 elements that make you a complete human being. And the things that and choosing the right stone to support that element for your specific intention. Let me go to my notes. So the 5 elements that I'm talking about, of course, are earth, water, air, fire, and spirit. It's the pentagram. You are the pentagram. Your forearms, your 2 arms, okay, are air and fire. Your legs are earth and water, and your head is spirit. All right, you are the pentagram, and you're going to be creating a prayer bead that will help you to attain your intention via the power of the gemstones that we're going to use. Now, hang on a second while I find my needle. Here it is. Take it off because I need to thread this embroidery floss. So what you want to do is you want to select 5 strands of embroidery floss. It could be 5 different colors. It could be 5 strands of the same color. I went with a variegated blue. My intention is to build community. And I know that my throat chakra, which is represented by the color blue, will help me to create, because what you speak, you create. So, and blue also symbolizes peace and truth and all the other things that I'm looking for in community, and I'm going to offer community, because it's not just about wanting, it's also about offering what you're going to bring to the table. So I selected 5 strands of variegated blue embroidery floss. I selected my 5 crystals that I want to work with, the 5 gemstones. So for earth, okay, so you know my intention is about building community. My earth stone that I selected is shungite. Not only is shungite good for grounding, but it's also good for health. It's an antimicrobial stone. It just brings deep, deep grounding and protection. So I want to both offer that to my community and ask for that from my community. So I strung some shungite here. This is preonite. It is for my water element, and it's for emotional stability. This is carnelian. This is for my fire element. It's for joyful passion. I have some garnet for air, and it's about purification. Garnet, you know, we think about root chakra and passion and all that kind of stuff, but it also has some air quality to it. It purifies and revitalizes. And then also for spirit, I went with turquoise, because that's the element I want my spirit to bring forward. It increases overall positivity, okay? So those are the stones that I'm using with my blue embroidery floss. So what you want to do with this is, let's see if I could do it up in the air. Hang on a second, it's got a little bit twisted. This is a very easy knotting process, okay? And where we are right now is I've already knotted 5 knots for the garnet. And so I'm going to slip the garnet on here. So, oopsie, there's the garnet bead. Let me see if I could do this up in the air. I'll still demo it for you. Probably not. So this is kind of like just using a simple granny knot. Oh, I'm going to try this camera routine again. Hang on. Goodbye for a minute. Hang on. Let me see if I can get this down here. Can you guys see this? Oh, yeah, maybe so. Okay, so then what you want to do is you just bring your yarn over, cross over the other 4 strands, bring your needle up, and you're making a knot, and you're going to hold this tight while you move this other string up. Just really try to lock that garnet into place just using that knot. Now it will tighten up with the next one. Just a second. Oh, I forgot one of the strands. That's what the problem is. Hang on a second, you guys. You can't leave out a strand. All 4 strands, other than the ones that you're working with, has to be wrapped up in this. So let me just back this up a bit. All right. And then over. And then you want to scooch that up there as tight as you can. Lock that into place. And make another one. And you want 5 of these. And then just scooch that knot up so it's really close to that garnet and helps to lock it into place. It's quite fiddly, and that's okay. You're not going to be hanging this up in the Louvre or any other kind of art gallery. This is for you to use. So that was knot number 3. Here comes knot number 4. Or was that 2? This is knot number 3. Here's knot number 4. Keep in mind, I can't see your comments if you're talking, but I will in a minute. And then you just want to pull that one tight. And then here's knot number 5. And there you go. Now bring the camera back up. I hope you were able to see that clearly. So now we have that garnet knotted to our string. We've got one more bead to add to this. Let me take this string off. And now we're going to look for the longest piece, which is this one right here. All the others have been knotted. So we're just going to go for the longest piece. And we're going to put the 5th one on. This is for our spirit. Let me open up this needle again. And I'm going to just, oops, before I do that, I'm going to make 5 knots on this. What this does by putting 5 knots before the bead and 5 knots after the bead is it gives the bead its own little separate space for you to grab onto and to pray with, okay? So you don't want them too cramped up together that you can't really work with them individually. So let me just whip in 5 knots here. It might be easier for you to see it now that that garnet's not in the way. So I'm going to put this camera back down so that you can kind of follow along with me. So you just cross the string over the bunch of other strings, come under it with your needle, and then pull it. Pull it all the way up. Pull it snug. That's knot number 2. And again, I am not doing this in sacred space, but when you go to do it, please make sure that you've gotten to a meditative place, you're clear about your intention, you're not all worried or freaked out or self-censoring your work. This is knot number 3. And that you just take your time and use patience and don't complain to yourself about your lack of ability. This is fine. This is an easy project. And with a little time and patience, you can certainly master it yourself. There's 4 knots. Let's do one more. And that's 5. Now we can string on the turquoise bead. And notice that these beads are various sizes, shapes. It doesn't matter. Don't get hung up on that as well. And another thing that I like about this particular design is that when your intention is met, you can take this apart. You can take this apart, reuse the beads, whatever suits you. Now, get this one tied in there. I'm going to take this off of the needle for right now because I'm not going to need it anymore. And it will make it easier for me to finish this project. So if I didn't have to fiddle with the needle too. Oops, I went backwards just a second. Oopsie. See what I mean about fiddly? But that's okay. Just take your time. You'll work it out. 3. Here's 4. You want to make sure that you're pulling those knots really tight. And here comes number 5, our last one. Here. Now that you have all of the 5 beads on there, now it's just a matter of knotting this again so that they are secure. So you just want to gather all the threads together and just make a big knot at the bottom. You can use this set of prayer beads as is. You can make it into a loop so that it's a circle instead of just a string, however you want to work with that. What another thing that I like about this particular design of prayer beads is that it's compact. You can put it in your pocket or in a little silk bag and put it in your purse or in your bra strap or in your bra and keep it with you. It's very compact. It's very organic. It's very non-fancy. And this is the beautiful thing about making your own stuff. It doesn't have to meet any particular standard. It has to work for you. It has to work for you. And you will know that it's working for you once your intention's been met. Okay? So, my affirmation. So, after this is all done, it's helpful if you already have your affirmation activation already developed. Okay? 1 or 2 simple sentences. Mine is, with a joyful heart, I create community. With a joyful heart, I create community. I'm accessing all 5 elements that make me, me. I'm empowering those elements with stones that have specific intentions, grounding for the shungite, emotional stability for the prehnite, joyful passion for the carnelian, purification and revitalization for the garnet, and then for the turquoise to increase overall positivity. All of those things are going to help my intention to create community with a joyful heart. So when I sit in my morning meditation, when I start my day, and I'm going to tell the universe what I want from today, I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to pray it. And for 5 times on the shungite, I'm going to close my eyes and hold this to my heart and say, with a joyful heart, I create community. Go to the next beat. With a joyful heart, I create community. Next beat. With a joyful heart, I create community. With this garnet, with a joyful heart, I create community. My turquoise, with a joyful heart, I create community. This is something I always do when I get done praying with my prayer beads. I kiss them. Is that wild? But I do. So after I do this, I thank you and tuck it away until the next morning. Or if it was something that I wanted to always keep in my awareness, put it in my pocket, put it in my bra. Fits very well. You know, it's no big deal. That's how you do them. Now, before you go praying with your prayer beads and all that good stuff, and it's always good to sanctify them. Let's take a look at the comments, though, because I see Alicia's been talking to me. Oh, sorry about that, Alicia. Well, I hope you got to see the turquoise one. Oh, same thing may have happened with the last bead. Dang it. That was my fear. I had put the camera down. I was thinking that you guys could see what was going on here, but really you were not. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I'll try to show it. But I hope you got some of the knotting part down. It's simple granny knots. Simple granny knots that you're doing on every strand for every bead. All right, the directions will be posted at the end of this video. I wrote all the directions down. All the notes for my presentation will be here. So please refer to those. And if you need additional information, let me know. Maybe I'll do a little private something for the group or something, okay? Thanks for bringing that up, Alicia. But let's go and talk about how to sanctify your prayer beads. This goes for prayer beads that you make yourself. This goes for prayer beads that you may buy somewhere or been gifted, something like that. Silk cannot go into salt water. Do not be trying to saltwater bathe your prayer beads. That is not a happening thing, okay? Smudging is going to be a really amazing option. So pass them through some sage smoke or some cedarwood smoke. And then, of course, you want to, now that you've removed any negative energy, you're going to want to pass them through some sweeter smelling smoke, like some sweet grass or some Palo Santos. And that imbues them, that replaces that negative energy with some positive vibration, okay? So smudging is good. You can sanctify them with a crystal bowl. You can put them in the crystal bowl and then sound the crystal bowl so that the vibrations of the entire bowl go into your prayer beads. You can do the same thing with the Tibetan singing bowl. However, I would not put the crystals in the bowl for that because it kind of makes the Tibetan singing bowl not operate very well. So instead, have your prayer beads on a piece of altar cloth or some other kind of white cloth or something that signifies purity for you, and then tune the Tibetan singing bowl over it. Or you can use tuning forks for the same purpose, okay? Cymbals are good for that as well. What you're doing is you're using vibration to remove any kind of negative energies around it, all right? Then you want to also use prayer to sanctify it. So it is said that if you pray the mala 108 times, you have sanctified it. All right. This is your special sacred tool. This is not something that you want to pass off to a friend if they are in need for a mala. No, they need to go get their own mala. Okay. If you're wearing your mala, which I would not do until you have prayed the 108 prayers to it. If you're using one of these other kind of prayer bead situations, you always want to put them in a cotton bag, silk bag, a wool bag, nothing artificial. Don't put it in polyester or rayon or something like that, okay, nylon. Use something natural to store your prayer beads. I have these Terra ones in a little little porcelain raccoon dish that has a lid on it. So even that is acceptable because it's from the earth, it's natural. So sanctifying, so yes. So if you should happen to drop your prayer beads, put them on your heart space. Let your heartbeat resonate and clear anything that could have happened on that when it dropped on the floor. Another thing that people do is that they'll put them on their crown chakra because that's the highest vibrating chakra other than your heart. You could put them there and clear them there. So yeah, praying is how you really charge them up. Check them out my notes. Hang on a minute. Oops, hang on a second, you guys. So yeah, smudging, sound, prayer, holding it close to your heart, holding it onto your crown chakra. All of those are ways to sanctify. And again, I would say that if you're planning on wearing your mala, to please make sure that it's fully sanctified and charged before you start wearing it in public. Okay. All right, so during the time that you're sanctifying it, it's best to pray the mala every day or any prayer beads that you're using. And to do this, you want to just ground yourself and surround yourself with protection. It's something that you want to do. Those 2 steps anytime that you're doing energy work or prayer work or even meditation, because you want to make sure that you are not being unduly influenced by outside, energy. So call yourself, once you surround yourself and ground yourself, you want to call yourself home. And the way you do this is by calling out your name, much like you were calling a child home for dinner. Call your name and call all of your scattered energy back to yourself. Imagine that it's just racing right back to you. And if you want to know how this feels, let's just do it right now. Say your name out loud 3 times, and each time just feel your energy coming back to you. Hope, hope, hope. And then just let it settle. Just let yourself settle back into yourself. And after you've called yourself home, take a couple of deep breaths. Think about the intention that you had when you made the mala or your prayer beads. Think about it from a place of peace and not being stressed out about it or critical about it or judgment in any way. That this is something that you are wholeheartedly intending. Start with your first bead, recite your mantra, your prayer, your affirmation, and then continue until you've prayed all your beads, whether it's 108, whether it's 133, 5, whatever tradition that you are using and working with, pray all of those beads, okay? And then after you're done, you just want to sit with it for a minute and allow the vibration of those prayers to just kind of settle into you and become part of your vibration. And then put your beads away. Put them in one of those bags that I mentioned: silk, cotton, woolen, leather, earthenware, and put it in a protected place. All right? This is not for prying eyes or for people to look at or wonder about and judge. You know how people can be sometimes. And so that is pretty much how you work with malas or any kind of prayer beads. Doesn't matter what the style is. The practice is always going to be the same. That it's done from a place of reverence, that it's done with clear intention, that it's done from a place of love and peace, that you're not picking up your mala and going, oh, money padme home, oh, money padme home. Really? What good is that going to do you? Okay? But just settle in. Now, I do have to say that there have been times that I have recited mantras in times of stress and struggle and need, okay? But I have not done it with my mala because I did not want to imbue it with that energy. But I would just say the mantra or the prayer silently to myself while I worked through that stressful moment, and it does work, all right? So Alicia, I see that you have stayed with me during this entire time, and that you have been praying with prayer beads for a while. Can you share what benefits that has brought for you? What has happened for you through the use of praying with prayer beads? I see Tada. What does that mean, honey? I love Tada. I'm going to wait here and see if you're tippy tapping away. And while, oh, thank you for that, honey. So what benefit do you think that has brought into your life? Brings everything into alignment. Amen. Yes, it brings everything into alignment. Your mind, body, spirit, intention and action, asking, believing, and receiving. All of that falls into place when you use prayer beads. Elemental connection. Yay. Yes, I love that. I'd like to see those as well. Kind of reminds me of the 5 bead knot. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think I'm going to make up a bunch of these. For specific intentions and see if people would be interested. Because not everybody's got the patience, the know-how, the time, the space to even sit down and do a simple beaded project. Now, if I had just made this all the way straight through without waiting to add the last 2 beads for this presentation, I could have made this entire thing in like 30 minutes. Okay, it was really that quick and easy and fast. But it does take time and patience to really weave those knots into this, all 5 strands, and to stay focused on your intention during the entire thing. Hi, Darby. So you use prayer beads as well? Awesome. Awesome. And so they center you. Absolutely. They bring it all together. Listen, you are on the fence about whether a prayer bead practice is for you. I'm going to ask that you give it a shot. Just try it. Just really allow yourself to experience it and see if this is a tool of transformation for you. Thank you, Darby. I do too. I pray the mala every single day. Every day. For all the reasons that you guys say it. Exactly like the 5 bead knot. Girl, psychically attuned. I thought I came up with that, but no, everybody's doing it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So I will include all of those instructions in there. Now, I also had mentioned that I would talk about prayers that you can use with prayer beads. And I'm going to be honest, the very first prayer that you may want to consider is one that is for you. So something that you come up with. It doesn't have to be long, 1 or 2 sentences, but it's something that you want to stick with for that intention, because every time you say it, you're making it more and more powerful. You're potentiating it and your intention. So pick one that feels right. Close your eyes, and as you say it, watch where it lands in your body. Is it landing in? Does it feel good when it lands, or does it make you kind of go, "Oh, that ain't right"? If it's not right, don't use it. Make sure that it feels good. Okay, make sure that your prayer feels good to you. Pray it every single solitary day, at least 108 times, so that you can empower the prayer beads with that prayer. All right? Yes, for specific intentions that you are going to get there and then move on. Yes, that 5 bead knot is perfect for that, because then when you're done, you can take it apart and reuse the beads. You just go ahead and you get rid of the embroidery floss. And I use 100% cotton embroidery floss so that I know that when I throw it away, it biodegrades. I'd never want to intentionally pollute the earth. So, does anybody have any other questions or comments that they want to make? Oh, I was back to the prayer. So, the most powerful prayer is one that you come up with yourself. If you took a mala and you just said thank you on every bead, that would be prayer enough. All right. If you had something else you wanted to throw in there, that is fine too. Just make sure that that becomes the prayer for that set of prayer beads, unless you're doing a 5-knot and when you're done, okay? And other prayers that you can use is the Om Mani Padme Hum. That's a good one. Or Om Tara Tu Tara Tu Re Soha. That's another one. The Catholics use the Hail Mary and the Our Father prayers. I don't know what the Islamic folks use, or the Sikhs. I don't know what they use for their prayers as well. So I'm a little ignorant in that regard. But every prayer bead practice has a specific prayer. And like I said, the most powerful one is the one that you come up with from your heart space. And to get clarity about that and to really set yourself off on a great creative experience, always have a meditation first. Always go to meditation and allow your spirit to guide you as to what beads to use, what design to use, what prayers to use. It's all already within you. You just have to tap into it and allow it to come forward and inspire you in your waking life, okay? Oh, it could be. It very, very well could be. You're so funny. Not Dark Moon. Oh, Alicia. Oh my gosh. Yes, and I also do an Art of Spirit presentation every month. So maybe we could do it for Art of Spirit. So yeah, we'll think more about that. Maybe we can make some mala bracelets together, because then we could do the meditation together and then do the bracelets together and then empower them with our activation affirmation. I think maybe this will be next month's Art of Spirit. But thank you so much for the suggestion, because now you've inspired me. So thanks for that. All right, you ladies, I think that we are good. Oh, hey, Darby, if you're in the Medellin Falls area in Washington, oh my goodness, I'd love to have you here in my home and we could do that then. But yes, every third Sunday, I believe it is, it's on the channel. We do Art of Spirit as a live event right here. So I get to do it twice a month. I love it. So anyway, I love you guys, and I really appreciate. Now, do you think that this was helpful information? I mean, did you really get anything from it? The takeaways that I want you to really have for this. Oh, dang it, Darby. Well, I'll see you online, honey. We'll make some malas together right here on Art of Spirit here. But the takeaways I want you guys to have from this is the importance of numerology when you go to do your prayer beads. Imbue them with as much intention as you can, using the correct colors, the correct gemstones, the correct numbers, okay? Those are very important aspects for all prayer beads, as well as the most effective prayer. I'm not going to say correct prayer, because everybody is practicing their free will and their creative process and being inspired by their own higher self. So come up with the most powerful prayer that you can come up with, or if you need some help with that and some direction in that, go to a meditation and let your guides help you, or shoot me an email and say, this is my intention. Would you help me to put it in words and that are easy flowing? We have an exercise that will help you create your own powerful activation affirmation, okay? So I'll certainly help you with that. Let me know if you need a session for that. Yes, Darby. I'm kind of heading further west myself, I do believe, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. I don't know how much longer I'll be in Medellin Falls, but I'll definitely stay in the Pacific Northwest. It's divine here. It really is. Anyway, you guys, I hope that you got something from this. Like I said, I'll put my notes at the bottom of this video before I post it. And oh, you guys are friends? Awesome! Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Well, I'm glad that you guys got to share this experience together. So yeah, awesome, you guys. Well, it's unfortunate that people who don't already have this practice weren't here to watch this as well. I'm glad that you two appreciate the power of prayer beads as much as I do. And yes, please tell your friends about it. Tell you, if we all sat and prayed with our prayer beads, I think that this world would be a much better place. That's just my personal opinion. But there's so many options out there. We could tailor make it for ourselves. So that's the important part as well, is to always to be authentic to our own spirit self. So thank you for that. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Alicia, for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Yay. Well, welcome, Darby. Welcome. So you guys, if there is nothing else, I think I'm going to make my, oh, it's 11:11. Let us bow to each other on 11:11. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys, and I appreciate your presence in my life and for joining me for these tutorials. And I hope to see you next time. It's coming up. Stay tuned to this channel. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe so that you always know what's coming up. I'm always presenting here. So anyways, if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Sunday for Messages of Hope. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Alicia. I love you guys. Get out there and make your day a great one. It's a beautiful day.